Shalom, giving all praise going on into Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, do well, peace, love, and blessings to the brothers on the highways and byways, giving all diligence to make your call and election sure, and blessings to the very few sisters out there listening, learning, and believing. I'm not fellow Abraham Clark, coming at you once again with another lesson, Lord's will, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, essence edifying, and also exhorting, all right? I'm gonna get right into it. The Elder Malcolm posted this video earlier today, and that was when it was at 22 hours ago. So of course it says 1 day ago. All right, but like Elder Har say, man, you know this is old news, but at the same time it's more recent, and it's straight out of the scriptures, man. And we gonna hop right into it. I'm gonna let this play for about possibly 7 minutes. You know, I don't want to make this too long. If not, you know, I kind of fast forward to the point. But we're going to let this guy cook a little bit. Hey, man, World War III, you know, Yahushua is on his way. The end is nigh. You know, before this war really and truly gets hot to the point where the missiles are flying, the chip has to be made mandatory. All right? So I'm going to let this play here.
7 senior Israeli Defense Forces officers are dead. These were not frontline soldiers. They were not young enlisted personnel absorbing the physical risks of a ground invasion. These were the architects of the battlefield, senior commanders, the people who sit deep underground in fortified command centers, making the decisions that dictate where troops go, what gets targeted, and how this entire war is directed from the absolute highest levels of Israeli military planning. 7 of them were wiped out in a single strike by one missile that absolutely nobody could stop. A Fata-2 hypersonic missile bypassed the most sophisticated, heavily funded air defense architecture on the planet, reached a heavily fortified IDF regional command center, and obliterated it. Israeli military officials are now using a word they have strictly avoided throughout this entire conflict. They are calling this devastating. Not a setback, not a temporary tactical disadvantage, devastating. This is the word military communications reserve for catastrophic events that fundamentally alter the operational reality of a war. 7 senior officers, 1 missile, 1 fortified bunker, and 10 interceptors that meant absolutely nothing. Stay with me because the next few minutes are going to completely reframe everything you thought you knew about the trajectory of this war. I'm going to break down exactly what this weapon is, how it shattered a fortified command center that 10 simultaneous interceptor missiles could not protect, and what Israel's own defense industry has just publicly admitted about why this changes global warfare forever. The vice president of Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, Israel's premier weapons developer, and the creator of the Iron Dome and Arrow systems, was forced to make a public statement so chilling it stopped military analysts around the world dead in their tracks. He compared trying to defend against the Fata-2 hypersonic missile to trying to guard LeBron James with a single player. He admitted out loud that this missile opens a brand new era in air defense, an era where the underground bunkers that were supposed to guarantee the survival of military leadership are no longer safe. The era of the invincible command center died today, and the shockwaves of this single strike are right now rewriting military doctrines not just in the Middle East, but in Washington, Beijing, and Moscow. To understand why this is a turning point in the war, we have to look at the terrifying physics of what the Fata-2 actually is. This is not just an upgraded version of the rockets Iran has been firing for the past few weeks. It is an entirely different category of weapon, representing a technological leap that defensive systems simply were not built to handle. The first-generation Fata-1, revealed in 2023, was already a nightmare for defense systems. It flew at Mach 15, maneuvered in its terminal phase, and proved it could bypass Patriot and Arrow systems. But the Fata-2 is the second generation, and the difference is not incremental. The Fata-2 was specifically designed to defeat the exact defensive responses that the first few weeks of this current conflict revealed. When an object travels through the Earth's atmosphere at Mach 15, the intense friction generates a plasma sheath. This is essentially a bubble of superheated ionized gas that envelops the missile. Now here is the critical problem for defense systems. That plasma bubble acts as a blackout curtain for radio frequency signals. Any hypersonic weapon relying on GPS, radar seekers, or ground command uplinks goes completely blind inside that plasma sheath. But Iranian engineers solved this problem. They integrated a plasma cloud management system using a combination of inertial navigation and advanced optical terminal guidance. The Fata-2 does not need radio signals to find its target. It knows exactly where it is using internal measurements, and as it screams toward the ground, its optical sensors physically look for the target. Because it doesn't rely on radio frequencies, all the electronic warfare, all the jamming, and all the radio disruption techniques used by the defense are rendered completely useless. The result is a Mach 15 weapon that actively maneuvers through the atmosphere, maintains perfect precision, and strikes with an accuracy that Israeli defense officials could only describe as unprecedented. It didn't just hit the military compound, it didn't just hit the building next door, it hit the exact hardened structure housing the specific command function where those 7 senior officers were sitting. Now, we must address the most alarming part of this event. 10 interceptor missiles were fired at this single Fatah 2, and all 10 failed. Understanding why they failed is the only way to realize that this was not a glitch or a human error. It was a brutal, unsolvable math problem. For an interceptor to destroy an incoming threat, it has to do 3 things: detect the threat, calculate an intercept path, and reach that exact point in space before the threat hits its target. A missile traveling at Mach 15 covers about 3 miles every single second. By the time a radar system gets a solid lock on the Fatah 2 at a distance of 200 kilometers, the defense system has less than 70 seconds before impact. The absolute fastest response time for an aero interceptor system, from radar lock to launch to reaching intercept altitude, is between 55 and 65 seconds. That leaves a margin of error measured in single digits. If there is any atmospheric interference, or if the target maneuvers and forces a recalculation, that margin instantly drops to 0. And the Fatah 2 is designed to maneuver. It does not fly in a predictable parabolic arc like a traditional ballistic missile. It makes violent, high-speed course corrections in its terminal phase. Every time the missile shifts, the defense system has to recalculate the intercept point. But calculating takes time, and by the time the computer spits out the new coordinates, the Fatah 2 is already miles away from where it was supposed to be. Furthermore, the Fatah 2 uses its optical seeker to actively hunt the target, meaning its final descent is a dynamic, unpredictable attack. 10 interceptors were launched. 10 times the Israeli defense computers calculated exactly where the Fatah 2 would be. 10 times the interceptors flew to those coordinates. And 10 times they hit empty air because the hypersonic missile had already changed course. The LeBron James analogy used by the Raphael executive is perfectly accurate. You know the player is driving to the basket. You send a defender to the exact spot to block him, but by the time your defender gets there, the player has spun around them, and your defender is grabbing at shadows. 10 interceptors grabbed at shadows today, while the Fatah 2 drove straight through the concrete roof of the command center. The loss of these 7 senior officers is a catastrophic blow to the Israeli military's ability to direct this ongoing war. Since the Second World War, military survivability has been based on one core concept: dispersing command authority into multiple, highly fortified nodes. If you lose one, the network routes around the damage. The facility that was struck today was a regional operational command center. These 7 officers were not paper pushers. They were the specific individuals actively managing operations on multiple fronts. They were coordinating specific strike packages against Iranian targets, managing logistics for the ground invasion in Lebanon, and communicating directly with American forces stationed in the Gulf. When you eliminate 7 senior commanders in a single blast, their responsibilities do not just magically transfer to someone else without massive friction. The chain of command has depth, but the officers stepping up to replace the dead are now inheriting highly complex operations they were not previously managing. The institutional knowledge, the personal relationships with American liaisons, the intimate familiarity with specific intelligence streams, all of that was vaporized in an instant. This creates a severe operational bottleneck at a time when the Israeli military is operating at maximum tempo across Gaza, Lebanon, and the broader Middle East. But the psychological damage inflicted by this strike is arguably worse than the physical damage. For 30 years, the doctrine of the fortified command center has been unquestioned. The IDF poured billions of dollars into deep underground bunkers, reinforced concrete, redundant communication lines, and elite point defense systems. This architecture works perfectly against traditional ballistic missiles. But the Fatah 2 just proved that miles of concrete and the best interceptors money can buy cannot stop a Mach.
This is the point, the water for bearing with me if you're still here. But this is the point right here I wanted to get at. Bible prophecy. Our apostles, the elders, a great millstone, they on point. Those are the true prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Truly sent those men, Again, that's why we give double honors to the elders, apostles at Great Millstone, because everything they taught us, everything they spoke is now playing out, man. All right. It's been, they've been playing out, but these last final prophecies, all right, is I can literally say word for word, from these analysts and everything that's going on is happening. All right, so this is the point right here. Oh shit.
Best interceptors money can buy cannot stop a Mach 15 weapon with optical terminal guidance and massive kinetic energy. Even if an interceptor manages to clip a hypersonic missile at the last second, a weapon moving at Mach 15 possesses so much sheer kinetic energy that the shattered debris of the missile will still impact the target with the force of a meteorite, completely destroying the bunker anyway. Every single officer sitting in an Israeli command center
and that was the point, all right? I'm going to go back to normal speed, and I'm going to run it back.
Is experiencing the missile will still impact the target. A weapon moving at Mach 15 possesses
Is it a weapon moving at Mach 15? Go ahead.
So much sheer kinetic energy that the shattered debris of the missile will still impact the target with the force of a meteorite, completely destroying the bunker anyway.
So even if a missile hits a weapon moving at Mach 15, it's still going to get the job done. All right. And again, these Iran's Fatah missiles. All right. Wait till we get, Russian has these avant-garde hypersonic missiles, which is probably, more advanced. All right. Better capabilities, so on and so forth. He said even if it's hit by a missile defense system, it's still going to get the job done because it's moving so fast. So we're going to hop right into it. Is Joel, the second chapter, from the top. The point is around the verse. I got it highlighted here. Verse 8. So it says, Joel 2:1, it says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion. A trumpet is that alarm. All right. Paul spoke about it in the New Testament. I believe it's Corinthians. So the trumpet is being blown, starting from the apostles on down. Elder Harbin is staying 40 years. All right. Blowing the trumpet in Zion. Sounding an alarm in my holy mountain. All right. That's the nation of Israel, the people first. So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and also our people scattered amongst all nations. It says, let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. All right. And again, these prophecies are living out. Right now, it says, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong that have not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. And this is talking about the missiles, not actual people. It says, a fire devoured before them. And the third verse explains it's not talking about an actual person or people. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The fire devoured before them is the warhead, and behind them the flame burneth. That's the rocket that propels. All right. And so this is Joel. He's seeing the missiles. It says the land is as the Garden of Eden before them. Eden just means paradise. All right. And America is likened unto a paradise. All right. The cities and the infrastructure, you see the buildings, so on and so forth. All right. It says, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Once the missiles land, right, this is what it's going to lead. It's going to leave nothing. All right. As Yahushua said in Matthew, the 24th chapter, which he was talking about 70 AD, the temple being destroyed. But that applies today to Babylon the Great. That same judgment that happened to Israel. All right. That judgment now comes upon Esau, Edom. All right. Upon our enemies. It says, yea, and nothing shall escape them. So when those missiles land and that heat wave go out, ain't nothing going to be able to escape them. It says the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. All right. So here it is again. It's parabolic. Okay. Because first it described them as people. Then it say behind them a flame burneth. All right. It says, and horsemen, so shall they run. That's that power. All right. It says, like the noise of a chariot on the tops of a mountain shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble. And you can see when the missiles take off, it's like they leaping, man. It's like they literally, that arching, motion. It's like they're leaping. It's like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble. That explosion, man. All right. It says, as a strong people sat in battle array. Again, it's using similes as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face, the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. And again, these not men, because it's saying like. They shall climb the wall like men of war, the missile defense systems. All right. And they shall march everyone on his way, and they shall not break their ranks. All right, they're going to go to that GPS location that was programmed to go to. It says, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. All right, that's the point I wanted to get at. They shall not be wounded. Shoot, is a look what NLT says to the left. They never jostle each other. Each moves in exactly the right position. They break through defenses without missing a step. Come on, man. Is that not what he said?
Every single officer sitting in an Israeli
run
a
that
weapon
back.
moving at Mach 15 possesses so much sheer kinetic energy that the shattered debris
I think
ballistic
my volume
missiles.
messing up.
But the Fata 2 just proved that miles of
can't hear it.
concrete and the best
I don't know how
interceptors
it's
money
gonna
can
play on
buy
the
cannot
audio
stop a
recording.
Mach 15 weapon with optical terminal guidance and massive kinetic energy. Even if an interceptor manages to clip a hypersonic missile at the last second, a weapon moving at Mach 15 possesses so
I'm gonna
much
pause because
sheer
I can't hear
kinetic
my
energy.
phone's acting up. But the scripture said it, man. And I remember the apostles broke it down. I think it's Elder Tahar who said it. He said, the missile defense gonna try to hit him. It ain't gonna work. And when Elder Tahar said, I'm like, oh shit, damn, that's beautiful. And now we see exactly that playing out in real time. These missiles cannot be stopped. Can't stop, won't stop. All right, so let's get this last video here. Right.
Day 17 of the conflict, and the Strait of Hormuz is still completely shut. More than 1,000 cargo ships and oil tankers are stuck inside the Persian Gulf, creating one of the biggest maritime traffic jams in modern history. Donald Trump recently claimed the United States had wiped out the entire Iranian navy, but commanders in Iran responded with a bold challenge. If that's true, send American warships into the strait and reopen it. So far, that hasn't happened. Instead, Washington...
And that's the point. All this propaganda over here in the States. If you wiped out if you wiped out their whole system, then send your warships over there, right?
has been pushing allies to help break the blockade, but several key partners, including France, United Kingdom, Japan, and even the Australia, have reportedly declined to send their fleets into the danger zone. With global shipping frozen and oil routes blocked, the world's most critical energy corridor has turned into a tense standoff in the middle of the Gulf. Day 17 of the conflict, and the Strait of Hormuz is still completely shut. More than 1,000 cargo ships and oil tankers are...
That was it on that. But yeah, man, you see it. Like he said, if what Trump is saying is true, we'll send your warships in there to unblock the Strait of Hormuz. Here it is. Well, we 2-3 weeks into this thing and it's still closed. But you don't wipe them out. That is no more targets that you can hit. Yeah, okay. Verse 9. It says, they shall run to and fro in the city, and they shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. All right. The earth shall quake before them. In Revelation also will tell you, John say, on the 10th part of the city fell in a great earthquake. That's the missiles hitting the ground. All right, shaking the earth. It says the heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army. For his camp is very great. For he is strong that executes his word. For the day of the... He is strong to execute his word. Come on. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. Who can abide it? All right. So that's pretty much it. Let's get close out with one precept. Ruleth. Bear with me. Kingdom of men. Daniel's 4:17. Just wanted to make sure. So this is the book of Daniel. Chapter 4. Verse 17. And this is why this is happening, because again, even we were under that spell, Babylon the Great, worshiping the beast in his image, believed in the system of America. And America was great at one point, right? Untouchable. I remember I was in that spell. We can beat anybody, America, we can, man, look. Once I got to know the Most High more, This is where this thing played out. Things 4 and 17. This matters by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know. And this is what we know. The Most High revealed himself to us, that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the bases of men. And the bases of men have been set up, Esau, Edom, so-called white men. But the point being is that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man. So when you see these things that Iran making these missiles and just able to have their way, and that was unheard of. You understand? All right. Iran wasn't supposed to be able to hold their ground, so to say, or hold their own against America, but that's what's happening. But that goes to show you that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom, man. It's time for Babylon to get up out of here, man. So as the Most High is allowing his word to be executed, Bible prophecy. All right? America has prophesied Babylon the Great to be destroyed in this war. The end all be all. That's what's prophesied. To lose. Because the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. That's just, it's like it. That's just how it is. And the kingdom of Israel, which is Yahushai's kingdom. Yahushai was an Israelite, right? The Son of God was an Israelite of the tribe of Judah. The kingdom of Israel, Yahushai's kingdom, is going to be established here on the planet Earth. A permanent dominion forever and ever. So I'm going to leave it there. All praise to Yahweh Shai, the ones, the elders. The next time, say shalom.